Bro, I just read one of the weirdest short stories ever. It's called The Man in the Woods by Shirley Jackson.
You? With your cynical self reading horror stories?
Yeah, I was half expecting to laugh the whole time, fully expecting some weird nonsense.
Because that's literally your brand. I mean, you watch horror like it's some comedy special.
Exactly. You know me very well, so I'm reading it like, haha, okay, spooky forest, sure, let's see how weird this gets.
And let me guess, you made snarky comments in your head all through.
Well, that was my plan, but I lasted 3 pages before panicking. The ending, that twist, I didn't see it coming at all, believe me. I closed my iPad so fast, I think it complained to the AI union. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Art and Storytime with Mr. and Mrs. Arty, where Mrs. Arty will paint this surreal painting in the background while I will explain what went through my head when I read The Man in the Woods. If you like our content, please like and subscribe, otherwise I can't promise that the man in the wood would not follow you.
Bro, that's rude. Just a quick word, spoilers ahead.
Yes, of course. Alright, let's get straight into the story. Trust me, it's a ride. Alright, imagine this. There's this dude called Christopher, but let's call him Chris because Christopher reminds me of that kid from Pursuit of Happiness.
What?
So anyway, so Chris is walking into this sinister looking woods and voluntarily, which is already a red flag in my mind. And he says, get this, he's trying to clear his mind.
Bro, when I try to clear my mind, I watch some random YouTube videos, but sure, let's go into the deep dark woods, good idea.
Exactly. He sees a path. You know the type of path that looks like it leading to something fun?
But it doesn't, does it?
Of course not. I was thinking it must have demons or taxes. I mean, anything but fun. But this man, this brave, foolish man, goes in.
Of course he does. Makes total sense.
Yeah, right? Anyway, he knocks. A woman opens and just says, come on in. Like, no question, no hello sir, whom do you want? Just come on in.
Very weird already.
Yeah, right? So they get into this discussion about cats.
What cats?
Yeah, so this random cat was following Chris from the forest.
Of course.
Yeah, and they have a pretty boring discussion about what to name the cat after that. And they named it Grimalkin.
That's a very archaic name.
Yeah, pretty much. And then they go into this lovely kitchen where this cook, Aunt Sissy, was smelling of onions and herbs.
I'm getting this Hansel and Gretel vibes, but for grown-ups.
Yeah, me too. But it got much weirder. I mean, there's this old dude who suddenly appears named Mr. Oaks.
Sure, why not? Old dude named Mr. Oaks. Yeah, continue.
Also, another weird thing. Everyone was wearing a green robe, like total cult vibes. Chris is probably too dumb or too nauseated by the onions to see this. So this old guy sits down and suddenly randomly said he was honored to have Chris.
Really? Why? What did he do?
No idea. They had this weirdest conversation ever as they sat down to eat dinner. Here's a quote from the story. What will we call you? The old man asked Christopher at last. I'm Christopher, Christopher said, looking only at his plate or up at the window. And have you come far? The old man said. Very far, Christopher smiled. I suppose it seems farther than it really is, he explained.
Dude, Lord of the Ring vibes.
Isn't it? Anyway, after this, there is this weird argument between the cats and Chris goes to sleep. And all night he has this feeling that the trees were closing into the house, like the whole forest leaned in and said, I see you're browsing history.
Rude.
In the morning, Chris is walking around this creepy stone house with Mr. Oaks, right? And this man is giving him a whole candlelit tour like it's the medieval Airbnb. And he opens a bedroom door and boom, there's this giant glittering knife above the bed.
Ah yes, the classic knife above the bed decor. Continue.
Chris is like, and Mr. Oak just goes, let me show you my roses. What? Of course Christopher follows him outside, into the forest, where the trees are basically pressed up against this house like the subway in rush hour.
Yikes.
Mr. Oaks shows him the roses and starts talking about tying them up with sharpened stakes every spring. They go back inside and Aunt Sissy and Phyllis are preparing this huge feast like they're cooking a demon's birthday party. Pastry shells, giant pots, sugar, spice, and then they bring out this animal carcass. Sounds delicious. And then Mr. Oakes walks in. And get this, he's holding this giant fucking bed knife.
Of course he does.
He sits down and starts sharpening it. Slowly, lovingly, like he's giving the knife a spa day. And then he casually puts an arm around Christopher and whispers, "Will you remember the roses?"
Oh no, oh no, oh no.
He walks into the forest, knife in hand, and the trees lean in like they've been waiting for him. And the daughter has this total mysterious vibes like, "He'll be down by the river, go far around and come up behind him." Chris steps outside and the trees suddenly started to move towards Chris. And Chris, terrified, was pinned against the door as the trees were moving towards him. And the trees, slowly but surely, started to crush Chris into the door. And then he hears Mr. Oakes shout through the trees, "Who is he dares enter these my woods?"
Goodbye, lights out, books closed. I think I'm moving to the desert.